Hello and welcome to Lunch with Lee. I'm your host Shane Lee. Today on the show, Glyn Schofield, a former jockey, born in England, raised in South Africa. He's raced all over the world, now lives in Australia. He's ridden more than 1,500 winners, with his ultimate success coming to Group 1 in Hong Kong on Natural Blitz. Post-racing, he set up a sports content website called BTFU, focusing on racing and betting tips. Welcome, Glyn.
Hey, Shane. Welcome.
Now, I've got a father-son combination here today, so very excited. On the show also, Chad Schofield, a current jockey regarded as one of the most talented riders in the country. He's the only apprentice to win both the New South Wales and Victorian Premiership, including a Cox Plate as an apprentice. Away from racetrack, he's run 2 half marathons and reckons he's his dad's favourite child. Welcome, Chad. Is that true?
Who wrote that?
Me. I was winding you up. But I am really excited because having a father-son...
Part of that's true.
Yeah, you're his dad.
He's run 2 marathons.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah. But no, I'm really excited because I've got three children, and obviously I played sport professionally, and I would love one of my children to go into sport. If they don't, so be it. But I want to ask you first, Glyn, how much advice have you given Chad over the years, and does he actually take it?
Well, as a parent, you can give as much advice as you want, and they only take what's relevant to them. But yeah, look, he's I suppose up until he started riding, he didn't take much advice at all.
Yep.
They get to that period in their life, they don't listen to anything anybody says. But he's a good kid. He listens to a lot. He's got his own brain. He absorbs a lot of information from a lot of people.
And Chad, I said at the start, your dad's won 1,500, ridden 1,500 winners. What's your target? 1,501 or?
Yeah, I mean, a number of winners. I missed a large portion of my career to date, more my fully fledged license to date, being in Hong Kong, and obviously there we only race twice a week. It's very hard to ride winners. So I compare myself to jockeys my age. I haven't ridden as many winners as them because I've been in Hong Kong for that amount of time. But I guess for me, it's not number of winners, it's quality of the big races I want to win. Now I've been home 12 months and I just want to win the big ones. Obviously I want to win everything, but for me, my goal is to win the biggest races that I can.
And you got a big race coming up, the Slipper, and I believe if you win this, what's the trainer going to give you?
Well, I'm not the trainer, maybe hopefully the owner.
I mean the owner. Sorry.
Well, there's no promises, but I'll be asking for a Ferrari because apparently there was a deal with a Ferrari because it's a first season stallion and
fantastic
and all of that. But I'm no chance of getting it. But
mate, good luck. And I want to ask you, Glyn, for you, you've raced all around the world, South Africa, France, Hong Kong, Singapore. What's it like compared to racing here in Australia? Australians, we bet a lot. We're pretty passionate about racing. Is that like that in other places you've raced?
Yeah, look, most of the places I've ridden, especially in Asia, it's a gambling product. Obviously, that's what makes everything tick. But the racing in Australia is just special. It's encapsulated by the whole population. Everybody's knows someone or something about horse racing, and it's great to be part of a really, really vibrant. I'm sure you understand being in the cricket world. Being in the racing world, we're two sort of worlds apart, but there's a bit of cross-pollination between sports people as well. But yeah, racing's fantastic in Australia. It's really, really good.
But really interesting, as I said, father-son, both in the same industry, but your wife's father, was he a jockey as well?
Yeah, father was a jockey.
Your brother is a jockey?
Yeah, my wife's father was a jockey. Grandfather was a jockey.
Yep.
My 2 brother-in-laws are both jockeys.
Yep.
I've got 2 nephews that are both jockeys.
Wow.
So it's.
So did you have a choice, Chad?
Well, for me, obviously, mum's side of the family, pretty much all the males in the family tree were jockeys, and dad was the only one in his family. But yeah, I was just bred to be a jockey. But yeah, it's funny. Obviously, dad knows how tough it is and how difficult it is for a young person starting out, and I think for that reason he kept me away for it as long as he could.
Right. Smart.
But ever since I could remember, I was obviously following dad around the world, and I always thought I wanted to be a jockey, and I think maybe he felt like I felt that way just because that's all I know. But I think when I got to about 15 or 16, he finally realised that he's serious, and I think that was the turning point when he actually, because I didn't grow up riding ponies or anything.
I'll tell you a funny story about how this all happened. So I've seen lots of kids sons of jockeys like being forced into pony club and all that sort of stuff, and they seem to get hurt or they fall off and they lose the passion. And I didn't want to do that with Chad. I thought if he really wants to ride, I'll let him find his own way. And then we emigrated to South Africa. I mean, from South Africa to here, and he'd been at school a couple of years, and he was about 14, about sort of apprentice, where they're going to start their apprenticeship, about that sort of age. And I got an email from the South African Jockey Academy, welcoming, Chad. Yep. Welcome, Chad. We will take you in from January. And I said to Chad, what's going on here? What are you doing? I said, we've just come halfway across the world to change our lives, and you want to go? He said, no, well, you won't take me riding. He said, I've got to go and do it myself. So that's when I thought, okay, he's really serious about this. And then we obviously put everything into it, and he's ended up where he is.
That's a true story, because I was always obviously begging to ride, and but Dad would never take me riding. He'd always sort of put it off. And I remember one night they went to bed, and I might have been 13 or 14, and I went on the computer and enrolled myself into the South African...
So you know how a computer works?
I enrolled myself into the
stole his horse or something.
South African Jockey Academy, and on their website, I remember they had all these measurements: your knee to your foot and elbow, and I measured myself that night, and I said, I'm small enough, and I enrolled myself, and that's when they rang Dad.
Well, that's a good sign. I remember because my dad didn't play cricket. You ask my old man now, having 2 Australian cricketers in the family. Yeah. Dad thinks he's played about 150 tests. But that was really good on the mental side. But, I basically signed myself up to play because I just loved it.
Yeah.
I think that, it's got to come from within. I was going to ask you about, because you got 2 sisters, and I think they run a dance academy. So dancing was an option potentially or not?
If you saw me on a Saturday night, you'd say no.
Well, I know you're going back to lunch with one of your good mates after this, so you might be able to dance for tonight. So we'll see how it goes. But I want to ask you, Glyn, because I've owned a couple of horses in my time. I'm not a big racing guy myself, so excuse my ignorance. But what you've
obviously owned a few slow ones. That's why you're not a big racing guy.
Well, this thing it's cost me about $300 a week in shoes. I said, what's it wearing Julius Marlowe's this thing, right? Anyway, but one of the things I want to ask about is do you get scared of potentially falling off? And have you both had any serious injuries to date?
You don't really think about that sort of thing. There is obviously that danger, but it's nothing you really think. If you start thinking about that, you can't ride. I think answer the second question: have we broken anything? I've broken most.
A few records.
Yeah, maybe not as many records as I want, but quite a few bones. Yeah, Chad. Yeah. I remember when Chad first started riding as an apprentice here in Sydney, and I wouldn't ride when he was riding. I just wouldn't take rides, and I'd just sort of go there and watch. And he was tiny when he first started. He was only about 33 kilos. He was tiny.
Wow.
And he fell off one day. Somebody came out underneath him and put him on the deck at Hawkesbury. And I ran up the straight at Hawkesbury, and he'd smashed his elbow and his wrist, and he had 6 screws in both places. And I remember shortly thereafter, a few people saying to me, "Oh, that's the best thing that can ever happen to him. Breaking his bones that'll toughen him up." And I said, well, fuck, he doesn't need to break his bones to toughen him up. No. The industry's...
But was that concern for you?
Big time.
Become a jockey, because you don't worry about yourself naturally, right?
You don't worry about yourself.
But your kids is a different story.
It's,
back to when I said how Dad wouldn't help me when I was a young guy. I've got a son now of my own, and there's no way in hell he's been a jockey. I understand now why Dad did what he did to try and put me off for so
amazing,
long.
Isn't it, when you have your own kids.
But I'll be doing the same to my son.
Yeah. Now, you both two, you rode in the same Melbourne Cup?
Yeah, twice.
We did,
Twice.
Yeah.
So tell me what that's like. So were you riding for the same stable, or?
No, it was different stables, and there was a lot of build up from the week out leading into the race, because we made a bit of history. I can't remember. I think it was the first father and son in maybe 5 decades, or
wow.
It was a big thing, and the news, obviously, all the news companies covered it, and it was pretty cool.
Would have been a lot bigger for you had you beaten me home.
Or there's a protest.
Oh.
Imagine that.
I don't remember what horse I rode there.
So I'll ask you first, Glyn. What's your highlight? I mentioned Natural Blitz at the start.
Yeah.
Is that the highlight for you?
Oh, look, to try and find, I've obviously now retired. Ridden a lot of good horses and big races around the world, so it's hard really to find it might be one of the biggest races I've ridden, or in Hong Kong as well, but There's so many. I mean, some horses you can win a small race on a horse, but it's got a personal attachment to you as well. So
he's explained that, the personal attachment, because I hear jockeys say that all the time, that they have some sort of affinity with the horse. And
I was actually talking to Craig Williams. He just had a race fall on the weekend, and I phoned him up to see if he's okay, and we had a long chat. And I was just saying to him, I said, you know what, you sit back and you reflect on your career and all that, and it gets to a stage most of the time where a horse sort of becomes a tool of your trade. You forget that they're actually, like
living and
breathing things, and you got to like pinch yourself and make sure that you reconnect and make sure that you understand that they're not just tools of your, not like a tradesman's tools, but they're more than that, and they're special. So some of them really capture your heart, and you have a really close bond with them and affinity with them, and some you just get on and get off, and you don't see them again. So there's been many that have been just on and off, and you never
ex-girlfriends.
Sort of thing, yeah.
and Chad, have you had that similar experience with having a real close bond or affinity with a certain horse?
Yeah, absolutely. Like as jockeys, we ride track work 3, 4, 5 days a week.
Yep.
And often, 99% of the time, you're riding horses you've never ridden before. So, the staff will tell you, they this and that. But some horses you just get on well with, and they want better behave for you than perhaps their track work riders. And some horses you just don't get along with, and they wrestle you and they fight you, and whatever. But definitely, you do sort of click and with certain horses, and every jockey's got their own riding style and technique, and that suits some horses. It may not suit the other half, but I'll never forget. Dad had a horse called Boban. Boban was virtually uncontrollable,
right?
But Dad was just one jockey for whatever reason clicked with that horse, and I think they went on to win 3 or 4 Group 1s together.
Just work together,
it was a good horse,
like
some of the parts.
Certain jockeys click with certain horses for sure.
So on that, the Golden Slipper's coming up. Hopefully that same affinity and bond will continue.
Well, I think so. I mean, I've ridden this. She's only 2 at the moment, but I have ridden her virtually from the time she started to learn to gallop, and I honestly can say I had that connection with this one horse learning to fly. I really thought back then she was capable of very good things, and so far she's unbeaten. She's done everything we've asked of her, and I think she's currently favourite or second favourite for the Golden Slipper, and I believe she can win it. Very excited for Saturday. I think she's a live chance in the Golden Slipper.
What do you reckon?
I think I'm not sure, but I think she's either 4 or 5 to 1.
Okay.
But yeah, definitely one of the favourites, and she's the only horse that'll run in the race on Saturday unbeaten. So it's exciting.
Good work, mate. I want to ask you both a question. Can you guys look at a horse and go, yeah, that horse has got serious potential? Like by just looking at its features? No.
You feel more than you look.
Do you? Okay.
Yeah, there's smarter people than me.
Yep.
That go to the sales, they look at them, and they profess to be able to tell which ones can run and can't. But the reality is you can't tell. It's an educated guess. But when you get on them and feel them, they just give you this feel. Yeah, from underneath it.
You both spent a lot of time in South Africa. How's it, my bro? But
how's it, my bro?
Did you play other sports growing up? Both of you?
Yeah. I'm a lover of all sports.
Yeah.
Really, I obviously played all of them when I was young. I tried my hand in rugby. I had to give that up when everyone else grew and I didn't. But I love them all. Soccer, cricket, everything.
Glyn, did you play much sport?
I played a bit of soccer when I was at school. Yeah, I was very keen soccer player. But not anymore. Can't run.
He tells me he played for his state, but I don't know. Growing up, when I had to kick a ball with him in the garden, he had 2 left feet.
Any state will do.
Well, they're provinces in South Africa, aren't they?
Yeah, provinces.
Yeah, right. So you might be pulling your leg there. Now, you just retired, so congratulations on a fantastic career. 1,500 wins, which is unbelievable. Some great highlights. You've started a business with BTFU, which means bet the fuck up. Yeah. Which it means, but it's all about.
But it's not just. It's not just about, as you were about to say. It's not really just about betting. We're trying to create a narrative of getting all different sports people that come onto the show and giving us we're calling it a BTFU moment, which is that part of your life where you've backed yourself or someone's backed you to achieve your goals in life, and then you've got some drive and some direction in your life, because a lot of people. And sport's great for a lot of people. It helps you find a direction in life, and we want to try and tap into those moments and express those moments through video and the voice, And so that, if there's anybody out there that stumbles across our website or our shows and all that, they can maybe draw some inspiration and find some direction in their life. Because not everyone's got a clear path to where they want to go.
No, but I think it's more than that. Check it out, guys. It's a fantastic site. It's slick, but it's more than just racing. It's about sport.
Yeah.
Really good content. Really good insight into sports, and
it's new. So we're trying to create as much as we can, and it's a lot of fun. I must say, it is a lot of fun.
Now, I ask every guest I have on the show the same question. I'll ask you first, Chad. Now you've got a young son. Archie, is it?
Archer.
Yeah, Archer. Very nice name. If a young boy or girl wants to go into racing, what advice would you give them?
I think it's a great industry. I think we're all lucky to be involved in such a great industry, and I think in Australia we're even more lucky to be in a country where it's thriving. It's just getting better every year. It's getting bigger. It's very popular. But I'd just say no matter what avenue they're interested in, it's just lovable. I think any young person, racing's a great industry to get involved in.
And Glenn, what advice would you give a young boy or girl who wants to go into the horse racing industry?
Well, I'm glad he didn't steal a couple of my lines that I told him. Well done, Chad.
I didn't remember what they were.
In racing, you're a one-out merchant. It's you and your horse. So you got to build your own self.
Yeah, gotcha.
So you only get out what you put in. And if you really love it, you're not going to work a day in your life. I mean, many people have said that about what they do if you love it. But honestly, you got to just treat yourself with honesty and others with honesty and respect, and you'll carry yourself well in the industry, because it's an industry that's got a lot of like bad connotations about it. But if you can hold yourself in a good light, you'll do well.
Well, I really appreciate you both coming on the show, and I want to say it's great to see a father and son. You're obviously very, very close. You shared a lot of similar experiences with I don't think a lot of parents get to go through, which is wonderful.
Yeah.
And I love your insights now from being the son to being a father. And just seeing how you're going to pass on certain information. I know you always appreciate your parents more when you have your own kids. I know I did, definitely.
Yeah.
But thanks for coming on the show. We're going to go downstairs now. We're at the Village Inn here. We have a few O'Brien beers and have a little bit of lunch. So thanks, guys, for coming on the show.
That's great.
Cheers.
Thanks, Shane.
Thanks, Shane.
That's it for Lunch with Lee this week. A big thank you goes out to our guests, Glyn Schofield and Chad Schofield. Fantastic to have a father-son combination on the show. Thanks to the Village Inn for hosting here at BTFU headquarters. Fantastic, just on the corner of Oxford Street and Glenmore Road. Thanks to our sponsors, Elite Bet and O'Brien Beer. Make sure you hit follow on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, and do us a favour, hit 5 stars. And if you're there and you're passionate, please leave a review. And come check us out on Instagram at I'm at Lunch with Lee. Our official Lunch with Lee photography was done by Felicity Kelly. You can find her on Instagram at Felicity Kelly Portraits. And once again, thanks again to our fantastic producer, Dan McHugh. We'll be back next time to talk more about sport, music and business on another cracking episode of Lunch with Lee. We'll see you then.